German philosopher Karl Marx believed strongly in the concept of dialectical materialism, which views the world as matter in motion. He came to see history as a class struggle in society, a struggle he believed was linked to economics. Economics would thus shape the political system of a government. Through Marx's observation of the Industrial Revolution, he predicted that eventually capitalism would push down enough working men or proletarians down that it would bring a revolution against the bourgeois, those who own business. This revolution would lead to what Marx believed would be the next stage of matter in motion: communism, an economic system that eliminated private ownership, creating a classless society. In Russia, a group known as the Bolsheviks believed they could bring communism by skipping capitalism. Vladimir Lenin, who is regarded as the father of Russian communism, led this group. Lenin strived to bring a classless society governed by the proletarians in Russia, a desire deriving from Marxism. Lenin believed that the proletarians were incapable of having a successful revolution to bring about their change. This is due to their inability to organize and be conscious of exploitation. In order for the proletarians to have victory, first a worldwide communist revolution must take place. This later became regarded as the permanent revolution. Lenin felt that the revolution could only happen if the proletarians were led from above, leading to the creation of a democratic dictatorship, or otherwise known as democratic centralism. The classes are led by parties, and parties by individuals, leaders. Another Bolshevik by the name of Joseph Stalin disagreed with Lenin's ideas for the revolution. He believed that the worldwide revolution could not occur unless Russia was to overcome its backwardness. That is to say, Russia's economy and society was very underdeveloped compared to those nations in the West. Most of its population lived in small wooden villages, and its industries were still underdeveloped. Joseph Stalin, the man of steel, can be easily considered Russia's most ruthless leader. From his entry into the Bolshevik Party, Stalin demonstrated the intelligence and viciousness that brought the party prosperity and would lead to his quest of ultimate power. This quest began when Stalin got to the position of Central Committee Party Secretary in 1912. From here, Stalin moved from position to position that would bring him power, such as the editor of Pravda and general of organization in the party. Upon becoming the general secretary of the party, Stalin was able to raise his power through patronage. He had the power to appoint people to his position who would provide them support, which would increase his power and enable him to secure his current position. Stalin predicted that the USSR was 50 to 100 years behind other industrialized countries, and was essential for the USSR to make this span this time in a decade. Stalin desired for the world revolution just as all the Bolsheviks did, but Stalin believed this could occur only if Russia was to overcome its backwardness. This idea sprung into what is known as the Second Revolution. Stalin was able to do this by the means of industrialization and collectivization. Stalin created five five-year plans, which had the characteristics of a list rather than organized plans. Stalin looked towards Western Europe and North America, in which countries had thrived industrially through the production of steel and iron. Stalin did not, in which case, accept the capitalist ideas that fueled their growth, but instead Stalin aimed to bring rapid growth of industry through these five-year plans. The five-year plans sought to improve Russia and bring it into a state of industrial power. The first of the five-year plans enabled the USSR to become relieve some of the difficulties of the worldwide depression at the time, as the plan had accelerated the means of production and created the need for more jobs. This increase in workforce brought a great need for food. Stalin saw agriculture as a way to increase capital to develop Soviet industry. To do this, he turned to collectivization. The farmers would not work for themselves, but collect their efforts and receive a wage from the state. Collectivization brought the creation of two types of farm: the state farms and the collective farms. In the state farms, farmers worked directly from the state, paid them. In the collective farms, Farmers combined the resources and shared the labor and the wages. In ideal, the collectivization appears a very communist movement, as it attempts to remove capitalist assets from agricultural work. Collectivization failed to bring sufficient food for the peasants, but it was successful in bringing the funds needed to stimulate the economy. When Stalin implemented the second five-year plan, he also started a propaganda campaign. This propaganda set out to motivate workers to work harder. This was effective in producing high-achieving workers. These workers were rewarded with an increase in wages and/or better housing. This created a gap amongst the classes, and as time went on, this gap became more noticeable, showing those who were well off and those who were poor. Stalin defended this gap as a necessity. The gap shows a clear shift from communism, away from communism. This does not mean that Stalin consciously betrayed the revolution, as several people would say. Stalin just came to discover the difficulties of communism. Communism, in a sense, is a paradox. It creates a classless society, a society in which individuals are limited in their personal achievement. Stalin and Lenin mislooked Marx's idea of matter in motion. Man has an interior sense of pursuit of happiness, and as humanity continues, this pursuit continues as well. Therefore, communists cannot last, as man's need to continue to pursue a better life continues. Marx saw communism as the next stage, but not a definite state. Stalin, in which case, needed to bring communism to advance the state of Russia.